Hi everyone, welcome to Third Coast Gaming Impressions. It is episode 13, January 3rd. I'm joined by my co-host Austin Taylor.
That's me.
And it is I, Travis Doyle. We're here to talk about some Cyberpunk. Austin, you played about 60 or 70 hours of it over the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I've been going pretty hard into Cyberpunk for I guess various reasons, but it's a very easy thing for me to just jump into.
Yeah, and I wanted to say, like, how would you compare to this to, like, a Fallout or a Bethesda game? Like, do you like this better than Skyrim? What do you think?
Oh, I mean, I don't like Skyrim, so like yeah.
Yeah.
Um, like I don't have a very high opinion of Cyberpunk because like even at its best, it's kind of just okay.
Yeah, is that like gameplay wise or like storytelling wise?
It's like pretty much everything, right? Like the gameplay is at best uninteresting, right? Because combat is just really rough and how you manage combat as far as like like loadouts and equipment doesn't really matter once you get to the late game. Because like by the time you get to late game, you have if you spec in a certain like branch of combat, mainly like weapons, right? So I decided to spec in handguns. I'm doing an insane amount of like crit damage with every shot of every handgun I have, so I'm killing people in one hit with any pistol I pick up.
Easy mode is what you're telling me.
Yeah, essentially I've unlocked easy mode and like that's even with me ramping it up to hard mode in like the 50th hour of the game. So it's not like that complicated. It kind of loses any tension really aside like even when dealing with net runners. Because I can run through most combat encounters, find a net runner and just blast them real quick.
Yeah.
And then the story itself is like the main narrative is okay. It's not super interesting and I've done all the like really cool companion or like I don't want to say companion, but like friendly friend side quests, a few of which like can become romances. Uh, and I did like the main romance quest that I decided to give V and did all the companion quests. And that's like where the game hits its peak in a real way.
So did you like the side stuff better than the main story? Oh
Oh,
no, Craig
yeah.
left. I'll just bring him back in real fast. It's fine. Yeah. So did you like the side quest better than the main story?
Yeah, I mean, the side quests are where like when you go into the main story of Cyberpunk, like it is about the like this street tough trying to basically get a situation sorted out and save her own life. And when you get into the side missions, it becomes about like allowing themselves to empathize with the people around them and learn to care about them and like help them out in their struggles and understand like the positive influence that like they can be within like their community. And so it's like really moving, really interesting stuff uh, that just isn't in the site. It isn't the main story because the main story is like you basically blasting your way through the opposition of Night City that is keeping you from saving your life.
Yeah, and so like a lot of the side stuff is just like you hanging out in Night City, just like getting to know the people who like live there, pretty much, right?
Yeah. So like a lot of the better side missions, you actually sort of branch off from the main narrative. Like one of the main narrative points you go to is you need to find like the person who created this like relic technology, which is like a chip that you have in your head right now that allows you to see Johnny Silverhand. And you need to find out like what this whole thing's about. And like at the beginning of that, you meet this woman named Panam Palmer, who is a nomad. And what nomads are within Cyberpunk are like a group of like people in large like caravans filled with vehicles and cars that roam around the ruined wastes of America, searching for like a home and work, basically. And like her whole like mission line that you get after doing the main story mission, where you and her like ambush a group of evil nomads, is what they're treated as is really interesting. It's really moving, and if you play as a male, you get a romance path through that, and it's really it's really nice. The like sequence of sex within it is pretty awkward and kind of hilarious. But like the rest of that romance in and of itself, I think is really like interesting and nice and moving.
Okay. And I was gonna ask, so I'm not gonna say how you meet Johnny Silverhand, but he kind of comes back into the world of Cyberpunk, and you get to meet him. Do you like Keanu Reeves as the character? Like, is he well written?
I mean, Keanu Reeves is the only reason Johnny Silverhand has any sort of likability to him, right? And it's not to say like I don't think Johnny Silverhand that character is well written. Um, I think there's a really interesting like angle that was taken because within like the 2020 uh source book and the adventure that like he takes place in, which is like the Never Fade Away quest that you can participate in if you like want a module for 2020. He's kind of this tragic uh Romeo figure, right? Because the whole thing with Never Fade Away is like his true love, Alt Cunningham, is abducted by the Arasaka Corporation and dies as he attempts to save her. And like the rest of like the older like cyberpunk source text treats him as this very like tragic romantic figure. But what happens when you get into 2077 is it sort of like pulls that back a bit, and it's just like, I don't know, Johnny Silverhand was this incredibly toxic individual. Um, because like when Alt Cunningham gets abducted, there is no like text option for him to show like real concern for Alt outside of being angry that Arasaka would attack him.
Yeah. Are some of the side stuff a little bit better with Johnny Silverhand? Because you were telling me you go find his car and his gun, and you go to like his gravesite too.
Yeah, like the game, like these are always like the moments of Cyberpunk that I really like, and there are a lot of them, which is why I'm still like in this game. Like when the game decides that it's gonna have a bit of heart, that it's not going to infect with its like cynical punkism, we'll say, like its cynical like impression of what punk is. It's really moving and it's really sweet, and you get these really nice moments with Johnny Silverhand where he's like feels like guilty about the situation that you both find yourselves in, and is like apologetic towards like the stuff he's putting you through, and is also like trying to reconcile like with his old bandmates. Like one of the characters you meet is Kara Eurodyne, who within Cyberpunk like lore is the like second man to Johnny Silverhand's leading man like role within the band that they formed together. And like there's a really moving sort of sequence where Johnny Silverhand wants to get Carrie in a concert like together and play together again. And it's really cool. Like it's just a really nice like not even 30-minute like quest line.
That's cool. I want to talk about the world a little bit. Besides, like, so not saying like side missions, but while you're exploring the world and like the areas, is it bigger than it actually seems? Because it seems like a big area and there's a lot of stuff going on. Like, can you go in a lot of buildings, or is it mostly like for missions?
Like you can go in a few buildings, right? Like the thing with Cyberpunk and with like CD Projekt's the sort of style and how I think actually a lot of open worlds that are set in modern settings are, is it's really hard to tell what you can interact with as far as like environment and buildings go and like what you can't. Um, Thankfully within Cyberpunk there are a lot of instances where what you can interact with usually revolves around like a mission, right? So there will be like a question mark icon around it. There'll be like a notice that says like here's some side business sort of thing, or they'll just be like a an icon that shows you that this is like a shop, right? Um, but the other thing is like there are a lot of nooks and crannies in Night City that you don't have to interact with, and the game doesn't really do a good job at like directing you into. Like for instance, there's an earlier segment in the game where you're driving and you like drop your car off in a garage that's attached to your main apartment building. You never go into that garage again. I don't know if you're supposed to because I tried to go in that garage yesterday to like park my motorcycle. And I did. I got in the elevator, went to my apartment, took a nap, went back in, and as soon as I went back in the garage, it just crashed on me because nothing in that area was loading.
Oh, it doesn't save your vehicles like that?
Well, no, it says my vehicle is still there. It's just
Oh.
like the actual environment of the garage was not loading. Uh, and so, and that's kind of like inconsistent with like where you can go and like where you should even try to go within Night City. But I think they're relatively good at like pointing you towards like missions and stuff, or like what they want you to interact with.
Okay, that's cool. And who, not to talk too spoilery, but like who were your favorite like side characters or side missions? Like what kind of did you think was like the most well written or something that like called out to you?
Yeah, like we speaking about like we've kind of spoken about like companions, right? So like as far as the companion characters, like the romantic path characters, I would say that like the standout is probably Judy Alvarez, who is a brain dance editor, and within like Cyberpunk, the brain dance is their stand-in for detective mode, right? We use these to recreate scenes and see what you can find, like what you can see that like the people in that scene couldn't like comprehend, right? And you get like a couple of these sequences early on as you're planning the heist that gets you the relic where Johnny Silverhand's being kept. And Judy gets this really like cool quest line where she's like trying to basically lead a workers' revolution in a club that ruined one of her friends' lives and like make it independent of the management that basically like ruined this person. It's this really nice quest line. It's like she's allowed to emote like more than really any other character in this game, and its conclusion is like this really semi-tragic but like bittersweet like sequence where you and her go diving in a flooded like town that she grew up in.
So is that something that's only unlocked if you're like a female V? Is that like a companion side quest, or can you still do side stuff with her? Because I might
See,
restart a character to go get to know her more. Because Judy's hilarious. I love the bits
so
where
it's the
you.
romance.
Okay, gotcha. I might have to
Like the
restart my
romance is
character.
locked
All right.
behind, but you still can still go on the quest. Like there's a culmination. Every quest still has like every companion has like a culmination quest that can become a romance. Like I'm playing as a female V, that became a romance for me. Um, I like could not romance Pan Am Palmer, but I was still able to like finish her quest line, which is like
Gotcha.
really excellent. And it's the same thing with like because there's four. There's a man by the name of River Ward, who is a romantic option for a female V, and there's also Carrie Eurodyne, who's a romantic option for a male V.
Okay. Interesting.
And, yeah, so they're all pretty excellent, I think.
Okay. Is there any other parts of the game that kind of were stuff that you were really into?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of other sequences. I like there's a lot of like funny like one-off missions, right? Like there's a mission called Space Oddity where you like find a laptop that's been stolen by like a couple of people out in the Badlands, and you get to go into this like you can intimidate them to get away from the laptop, and then you can hack into it, and you find that the laptop actually controlled like some art gallery in orbit, and you like use the laptop's commands to like jettison one of the art pieces like from a satellite into a pod that like
No,
lands
no.
outside of Night City, and you get like this $40,000 piece of art that you don't know what to do with.
That's pretty good.
Be- yeah, because you don't know anything about art, and that's like on the high end. On the low end of that kind of stuff, there's a sequence in like a fancy clothing store where you'll go in, you'll get like you can go look through the wares, but like as soon as you're finished, a cyber psycho, which is it was in this game someone who has had too many implants installed in their body, which is just still one of the worst things to the setting to me. And like earlier in the game, you get like another side mission where you are contacted by a fixer who wants you to neutralize cyber psychos like non-lethally, right? So she can get them into therapy. You're not given that option here because if you don't kill this person, the MaxTac, who are like high-end police, come in and just immediately execute this person anyway. And that whole quest line serves to be like, oh, this MaxTac like lead officer, this is the woman from like the initial trailer, like the reveal trailer for Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh,
And like
weird.
that's the whole point. That's the whole point of that quest. It's
Yeah,
like why did you waste my time with this? Why did you make me kill this person just so you could show me like, oh, we put the lady from that trailer in this video game.
bummer, bummer. Um, well, if you got any other thoughts about Cyberpunk, I was gonna go to Final Fantasy VII.
Oh no, let's talk about Remake.
All right, man. I okay, so I got this game when it came out in March of this year. How did you play it? Have you played it at all?
I only played the demo
Okay.
and I finished the original Final Fantasy VII, so like there's no real worry of spoilers that I care about.
Yeah. So in the demo, that's like the first reactor. As far as I got in the other game was after you beat that reactor, you go to Midgar, and it's like, hey, I need you to go do 3 side quests, and I was like, oh fucking, I don't want fucking side quests, and then you go do something with Jesse, and I think I just stopped playing at that point, and I picked it up like 3 or 4 days ago, so I was like, it's game of the year for sites. Giant Bomb's gonna have theirs in like a couple weeks, and I want to play this before, and I kind of get back into it. So I like Final Fantasy 15 a lot. And holy shit, Austin, I fucking love this game. Like the soundtrack in Remake is hitting those points where it's just like getting those same songs like Under the Rotting Pizza and like the Turks theme and like just
Yeah.
like the anxiety theme, I think is what it's called, but the 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 ATB system gets so much more complex when you have 3 characters. Like I have Tifa with me right now. Or I was at a point where I was at the second reactor and you have Barrett and Tifa with you, and I'm just like doing a couple attacks. So your active time battle is a gauge you
Okay.
fill up, because this is like a it's like a hack and slash with some RPG stuff. Because you can go into a
Yeah, is it
menu and use spells at any time, just for people who haven't played it. But so whenever I'm getting my first bar of the ATB, I'm gonna attack some people. It fills up a little faster, and then I'll switch characters to fill theirs up really fast. I'm basically flipping between all 3 of my characters like as fast as I can to get as many abilities and spells off at the same time.
yeah, because you want to combo these, right?
Yeah, and it's just like the pace at which you're fighting people and like how seamless it is. Like you'll just hit pause and it'll stop the game while you're in your skills menu. So when I fill up my bar, I can use a spell or I can use some of my abilities, and each character kind of has different stuff. Like Cloud has an ability where he'll hit 3 enemies really fast and he'll hop between them, or it'll be on the same one. But he has like he has a strike where he'll like jump up in the air and slash someone, and it'll make the enemies suppressed. And when you completely suppress an enemy, they'll be locked down and everyone can kind of jump in on them. And like what's been like pushing me is just like, as weird as the voice acting can be, because it's kind of cheesy compared to other stuff. Like, have you played any of the other Final? You've played 15.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I wouldn't say 15's voice acting is primo. Like, it's not cheesy, you
Yeah.
know?
So I remember 12 having the best voice acting. That was closer to like a serious cast. Like this feels like a Saturday morning like cartoon or anime. Like Barrett is so into hating Shinra that he gets in this rant. So there's this dog in it in Final Fantasy VII. Does he show up at all in the original game?
A dog?
Yeah. There's
Um,
this dog Stamp. He's called Stamp.
I don't remember a dog named Stan.
All right, well let me show you these pictures of Stamp, cuz they when you're in the when you're heading into these tunnels trying to find the second reactor, Barrett is using them. There's a picture on there of him pointing and Stamp is leading the way because someone went in there and spray paint Stamp all over everything.
No,
to
that's
show you
true.
how to get there. But Stamp is Shinra's logo for people to enlist and stuff. And Barrett's just always like, Stamp. I hate Stamp so much. Shinra uses this dog and he's so cute to like brainwash people into wanting to join the military and stuff. Because they're bleeding the planet dry and shit. So that's why you're trying to blow up the reactors and stuff. Now, I
Well, I mean,
don't know.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Barrett is like the activist, right? Like Barrett is the person with like ideals. Like I think it's like the second reactor run you're in, and you're like in an elevator with Barrett, and he like goes off on a monologue that is kind of like observed by Cloud and Tifa, and they look at each other like, oh, this guy's kind of off the deep end, but he's not wrong, right? Like Barrett's, I believe the culmination of that monologue is like everyone like in a society needs to reconcile with like the active harm that they are doing through their ignorance, like to the environment and such.
Yeah, and he goes on with that and Remake a lot more. But he's also played like a lot like funnier. Like he hums the the winning theme for Final Fantasy whenever you like are just walking around randomly. Like I was in the second thing and he was just like
Yeah,
humming it and stuff. And Eris is they made Aerith or Eris. I'm just gonna say Eris. They made Eris like way more playful, which is really funny. She's really sarcastic and like is kind of like poking fun at Cloud every now and then about shit, and I think that's kind of fun. I flip back and forth between the Japanese audio. I like the Japanese audio a lot more, but I don't think I can like read game my subtitles while I'm trying to control a character at the same time. Which I tried to do
yeah,
that for 15 also, but it didn't work out too well.
yeah. That's fair. I think I would probably be using English dubs here too.
Yeah. My only complaint with it is just like there's the two things. I would give Tifa a longer skirt and like just do something about like they really go out of their way to like sexualize Tifa, and it wasn't as much in the first game because they're polygonal and it's just like, oh, it's Tifa, like whatever. Like Tifa looks way better in. Let me send you a picture of Tifa in Kingdom Hearts 2. Even like Advent Children, Tifa is like looks like a
Well, I mean, yeah, like
normal
the
lady.
update, yeah, like the update to Tifa's like wardrobe that they put in Advent Children and like Kingdom Hearts 2 is like a much more interesting design than the like the one they give her in Final Fantasy VII, both in its remake and original release.
Yeah, and I just wish they did a little something. It's like the same thing I get with like Nier Automata, where it's like that outfit's very revealing. I'm just like, I'm just not into it. Whatever. But it's been fine. Tifa's been totally like the characterization of Tifa and her writing is like she's extremely wholesome and always really positive about stuff. And she talks about like her like it's not like insecurities with their like um avalanche group of like destroying the Mako stuff, but she's just like always worried about Barrett and Cloud and other stuff. She does a really good job of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tifa's like the person who's allowed to express doubt in a real way,
Yeah.
which is, I think, a character you need. That I don't know if that was a role that she filled in the original release of that game, but I'm glad that they have someone doing it.
And she fucking kicks ass. Like I put all my damage items on her, and I was able to link when you have a linked materia for one of her weapons, it's like normally they're separate, but if they're linked you can combo. So I made her
Yeah.
I gave her lightning gloves pretty much to use on this
Oh, jeez.
robot boss that's weak against lightning. It's really cool, and the upgrade system is really cool because you level up and you get some stats, but every weapon you have is where you get into your deeper customization. So Cloud has his regular Buster Sword, and then he has like a variant that's a little thinner, and it's
Yeah.
better at doing spells. So I'll bring up a cluster, and I'll have 4 spells I can unlock. And then as I get further in that weapon's level, it'll give me new trees that'll have like HP up, MP up. When I'm at 25% lower health, I can do more damage. And everyone has different combos of that. Like at some point I got weapons for Tifa that was like boosting every single type of magic stack. Like her blizzard would be better, or her fire would be better, or her thunder would be better. And then she gets to know a bunch of weirder mage stuff. And so the customization's been pretty cool. And I'm just like bouncing around, just trying to min max, and you level up your materia, and you get like Thundara and Thundaga and stuff.
Yeah. Because you can, so with your weapon upgrades, like you can basically use the same weapon throughout the game. Yeah.
Correct, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
constantly getting better. Unlike like a normal
Okay.
RPG where you will get something better and like never go back to it.
Yeah. Like even within like the original like seven, like the Buster Sword is obsolete within really within the first by the end of the first like reactor run. But you're just not allowed to get rid of it afterwards. But you can't do anything with it.
Yeah, and it's been totally fine. And even like, okay, so the mission structure, like you played the first reactor, you know, it's pretty linear in doing stuff. And the side missions, you're kind of backtracking, but like, I've like loved how detailed these areas are, and it looks, you know, it looks like a modern video game, but it's just so pretty, and it's like reminiscent of the older game, which I only got to. I barely left Midgar in the first game. I basically found Vincent and then got stuck somewhere. But I don't know. It's cool. I'm really into it. I've only played for about 5 hours, but it's just been like really cool. And it's half price right now, Austin. If you want to get it,
I mean maybe.
it's cool. If you like the combat of 15, I say it's definitely deeper than 15's. Because at least you can switch characters and you're doing stuff with them.
Yeah. I will like yeah, I will say this is definitely it's I'm constantly thinking about like maybe I should just buy this one. Because I don't think there's like a better deal available to me anywhere else.
Yeah, and I'm having a pretty good time. Like the way that its combat is deeper than 15's is like you have your regular attacks, and then you'll switch your stance. Like Cloud goes into like a Punisher stance, where if someone hits him, he'll like counterattack them really fast, or he'll just
Mm.
do like some more stagger damage in that stance, but you walk really slow. And then I think Tifa has some uppercuts, and I just got Eris, and she'll charge up her magic and like throw it at someone. But it's been just really fun just playing like a linear action RPG where I'm just like slowly getting stronger and I'm getting some story bits. This game has a lot of cutscenes too. Like I'll be playing and they'll just start talking about something. And I didn't never expected like how many or like action cutscenes where they're running from something or to something or they're hopping over stuff. Like there's a lot of work in this, which I mean it's not surprising. It's their Square's like most revered game.
Yeah, like they've had this in the works for the better part of whew, a while now at this point. I can't even I think it was E3 2015 that this was unveiled.
Yeah, and people have been clamoring for a remake of it since like they've wanted like a PS like even late PS2 people have been like, yeah, re-put it this out. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like when they unveiled the PlayStation 3, they like as a tech demo showed off like a remake concept for Final Fantasy 7.
Oh, that's right. And I
And
know like Advent Children like they were doing like PS2 stuff. Like they had a Vincent solo game for PS2.
yeah, Dirge of Cerberus.
They had Advent Children, and then they had the what was the PSP one called? I can't think of it.
I think that's I know it's like a tactics game
Crisis
though,
Core.
right? Yeah, Crisis Core.
Yeah, Crisis Core is cool. Crisis Core is real time combat actually, which is pretty interesting. It plays like it's basically leading up to the like real time stuff in Final Fantasy 15. It kind of plays like Final Fantasy what was that? Final Fantasy 0 or something.
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I think it's called yeah, Type O is what it kind of plays like. Anyway, it's cool. I'm into it. You had another game you played.
Yeah. Yeah.
If Found.
Yeah, over the over the Christmas time, Nintendo was having sale and I found this little visual novel called If Found, which is about a trans teen who goes back to Ireland, their home in on a chill island for the first time since leaving for college. And like the entirety of this visual novel is like from the perspective, like you are going through journal entries, right? So the entire like UI interface and aesthetic are like hand-drawn journal entries about like this person going like discussing this with their mom, um, talking to their like shitty older brother, meeting up with her old childhood friends, his boyfriend, staying with them in a really old house on the island that was just called the Old House that no one had lived in for the better part of 40 years, sort of going through helping them like manage their band, and then just the general fallout of all that happens like as it pertains to this person's relationship with their mother and the people on a chill.
Art style is really cool for this. All the characters look like hand drawn.
Yeah, yeah, it's all like everything you're looking at is like from a like journal,
Yeah.
right? And as you're going through, like, and you realize that what you're looking at is like the past, and there comes a point in the game where what you're doing is in the present, so the interface changes a little. Um, and then it like eventually, so like instead of, so what you're doing for the rest of the game is actually erasing these journal entries as you go. And like by the end of the game, like you are like making more, right? So it is supposed to be this sort of like emotional like metamorphosis for this character. Is like how they represent that mechanically.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I just it kind of looks like the characters from Haven, except like everyone's a lot like the lines are a lot longer, like poignant, potent. I don't know. I can't think of the word I'm trying to say, Austin.
I mean, Haven's a really weird comparison for that. I
It
mean, I
these
get
look
like
like
I guess like
sketches of characters from like an art
well,
book.
yeah, yeah. You're looking at like a rendition, like what if someone like drew of like a friend, right? Like this is all everything that you're seeing from like a person within this game is meant to represent like this person's illustration of an actual person.
Yeah, it's kind of they're kind of like pencil drawings, very like
Yeah,
kind of like
in the
I would say like anime style.
yeah, in the way of like a person who is not a professional artist. Like the character you play as I believe her name is Cassiopeia, I think. Like this is a person who is going to college hoping to achieve or get a doctorate in like astrology or not astrology, astronomy, right? So like this is not a professional artist. This is just someone who keeps a journal because they find it a healthy way of like processing everything that happens.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I might check it
Yeah,
out.
no, it's pretty dope. It's probably if we were to do, I don't know if we haven't made any plans for this, but like if we were to do like a game of the year thing, this would make it onto my list.
Oh, you kind of cut out, Austin. Are you there still?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Oh,
What were we saying?
um, like I don't know if we haven't made like solid plans to do one of these, but like if we were doing a game of the year thing, this would definitely make it onto my list.
Sorry, if we were doing a game a year, would you have this high up?
Yeah,
Okay. I just didn't hear the last part. All right. Yeah, that's cool. It's really rad looking. Um, man, I've put way too much time into Red Dead Online, Austin.
yeah, you've been doing. We spoke about this earlier, but you've been being a cowboy.
Yeah, I got the battle pass and it was pretty cool. So you spend like 40 gold on it pretty much, which is it's the equivalent of $20, but this game will give you like so much gold that you really don't. Like I put $10 in to buy the battle pass, which is normally what people pay for it. So what the battle pass got me is I just got it made my rolls level up faster, and then I got Arthur's suit. I maxed the battle pass also. I hit level 100, which
Hmm.
that took a week or two of me playing a couple hours every night. But I got Arthur's like blue winter coat, I got a free dog.
Oh, that
Um,
iconic coat that you
yeah,
will wear once, most
facts.
likely.
And then I could cook. I can cook meat like I can cook batches of 3 meat instead of 1. But it also just like gave me a bunch of money and some stuff to sell. But I don't know. I'm just like hanging out. There's a bunch of legendary bounties in there. There's like 12 like named bounties that are all like kind of unique missions. The one I've been like doing because it gets you a lot of money is you have a train who someone is robbing
Yeah.
currently. So you're a bounty hunter. So I'll run up the back of the train. I'll hop onto it, and I'll like take out his guards from the back, and then I'll move my way up the train. I'll try to lasso him because you want to take him in alive to get more money. So
Yeah, get more money.
yeah. So what happens is after you do that, you beat it at a 1-star difficulty where you have 2 lives. And I got up to the 5-star difficulty where you have no lives, to where if you die, you have to reset, which will kind of happen to me sometimes. But I have to grab 3 people for it. I have to grab the main bounty and 2 of his bodyguards, which normally you can only put 1 person on your horse. But I bought a bounty hunting wagon to throw people
Oh
into,
Lord.
so I took all 3 of these guys alive. And then I found like there's an exploit where it's not an exploit, but the game will give you more money the longer it takes to do a mission. Because for the people who it takes longer, they want them to feel like they've made more money.
Okay.
But I go to the town. I think it's like Amarillo, or I'll go to Tumbleweed, I think, which is one of the cities from the first Red Dead, which is in online, and you go back to it. And that's fine. Where Craig left
Yeah, and
us, but
Tumbleweed is like populated in this version, right? Because in the first Red Dead, Tumbleweed is abandoned.
yeah. So Tumbleweed, there's a couple people in Tumbleweed, but I go to a store and I open up a book and I sit there and I idle for like 15 minutes after I beat the mission so that I can get like a bunch more money when I turn my bounties in. Because if you idle in a shop, it won't kick you from the server, but normally if you idle, it'll kick you after like 6 minutes. So I'm just min maxing Austin, just min maxing.
Yeah.
That's basically been the whole game. Oh, and I got one of the new roles I got is it's called the Naturalist role, and you are basically creating an encyclopedia of all the animals in online. So it'll give you sedative shots for your 22.
Okay.
And so what I'll do is I'll find an animal and I'll shoot it like 6 times with the sedating round, so it'll
But the
keel
bullets are just
over.
sleeping.
Yeah, the bullets are just making them go to sleep. But and then you'll take a sample. You'll stick a syringe in them, and you'll take a sample of blood, and you'll sell them, and it'll complete your book.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this naturalist lady named Harriet, and whenever you kill an animal, she'll enough times. If you kill enough animals, she'll like spray you, and you'll go like weird drug vision or some shit. But when you unlock the naturalist class, it will also give you points for skinning animals, which is weird, really weird.
Um.
To complete your animal set,
Yeah. You have
you
to skin them.
you have to skin it, you have to track it once, you have to study it, you have to sedate it, and you have to take a sample from it.
And does like the quality matter when you skin it, or?
No, it just gives you like 1 skin. It
Okay,
just
good.
it just I don't think you have to skin them, but it'll go from gray to like white text if you skin it once. So I was like, oh, whatever. And I found out how I can like make a bunch of money. So I just go to a farm where there's a bunch of sheep, and I'll sedate like 10 sheep and take samples from all of them, which has
Mm-hmm.
been really funny. And then the one last night is there's some legendary bear, and I'm like, so it just tells me there's a legendary animal first, and I walk up and I was like, I wonder what's over by this river, and I'm like, oh, it's a bear, fuck, because I'm off my horse and it just tackles me and murders me. So then I respawn, I go back, and I'll sedate it, and I'm chasing this bear. Because when you start sedating animals, they'll run away from you instead, even though it's a bear, which is
They
kind of
like run
weird.
away.
But it's been cool. I'm just like hanging out, buying clothes, and just like doing weird daily missions. Because most of the stuff is like the daily missions will just give you gold, the
Uh-huh.
certain
Like
like
per
the
mission
fourth.
or like
So it's every week. So your dailies are just like skin one animal or cook this meat or go walk 400 miles. And there's like 300 different types of dailies. There's usually 7, and then you get some different ones based on the 4 roles. But at the second week of dailies, it gives you more gold. The third week gives you more gold, a lot more, and the fourth week gives you like a bunch. And then after that, it resets back to 1 week, so it gives you a month. So I just completed my 4 weeks of 28 days in a row logging in, and it gave me a map at the end of it, and I got like $100. So I was like, cool. I'll just buy stupid shit. I have dual wielding Mausers, which is really funny. Because I'm just running around popping people and reloading really fast. It's very cool. That's about it for Red Dead Online. I think I'm at like 60 hours or something. I bought Cyberpunk, and then I was like, Red Dead Online's $5. What if I played it a little bit? And that's when I ended
I
up playing
mean,
a lot.
sometimes it's just how it goes, right? Like you buy the big thing partially because you're interested, but also because you want to take part in the discourse. But then, like, hey, the real thing you want to play is just right there.
Hey, what if I was just like chilling out? It's just relaxing. You're just hanging out with your
Yeah,
horse and like walking around. It's a beautiful game.
yeah. Like if I had the patience for like a lot of that game's systems, I think I'd probably be in that one, considering how hard how like I'm no longer in like GTA 5's multiplayer.
It's so much better in GTA's multiplayer. Cause I don't run into anyone. I see a person every now and then when I'm in a town. That's about it.
Yeah.
Besides that, just me by myself. I don't know if it's still $5. Oh, you own the game still, don't you?
I own Red
Yeah,
Dead Redemption
you could
2.
hop into it if you ever want to play it one time. It's easy. It's
Yeah.
when you first start up, you have like 7 missions that you can just go do, and you'll just go do cowboy stuff.
Gotta make space on my
Yeah,
PlayStation first, though.
yeah. Joe, I teach you how to be a bounty hunter. It's super easy. You just shoot dudes and lasso them. It's pretty cool. All right, well, I think that about wraps us up for episode 13. It's good talking to you, Austin.
Always a pleasure.
All right, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at TWO.
And I'm at Travis23 Doyle on Twitter. Catch y'all later.
Good night. Good luck.
Bye.